Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Looking for Love in All the Wrong Dust Jackets, a show where three disgruntled harpies talk to you about everything we love in romance, whether that's books, movies, TV shows, whatever we like. My name's Liz.
I'm Danny.
And I'm Wiggles.
And welcome to the episode. Today we are discussing Lights Out by Navessa Allen. But before we get into that, I gotta warn you, I gots to let the people know that we are crass and unhinged. We are terribly unladylike. We're going to talk about all of the naughty times, of which there are many.
Oh, so many.
And we're going to use all of the dirty words to say it.
This is true. Dirty word number 1, poop poop.
What the fuck? God damn it. Wiggles, do you want to tell us about Navessa?
Sure.
Oh, okay. Well.
Okay. I would so love to tell you about Navessa Allen. First of all, she's a woman who loves all things romance, paranormal, historical, contemporary, or fantasy. I've got a book for you. She, being an aeronautical engineer, that was really hard for me to say. I'm so sorry. To a romance author, born to be a storyteller, youngest of 5 children, and was often left behind by older siblings, raced through forests of their mountain home and longed to go with them. So she played with her dolls like we all do, and like made up crazy, amazing stories like we all do. And disappointingly, she was finally allowed to like join the rest of them in cavorting in the forest, and found that there were 0 fairies. Which is
rude.
Just really rude, honestly.
I feel like we've read a lot of authors who were originally in some sort of STEM science field that are now romance authors. Is that like a path?
Like, I can't do this anymore. Must romance.
Yes.
But yeah, she served in the military, bartended in the Caribbean, built flight simulators for jet aircraft, farmed in rural New England, and has run a small business in Maryland. Enjoyed all of that work, but nothing has fulfilled her like writing. And now she's embarking on a journey to make her dream a reality while she pursues becoming a full-time author. First thing every day, hot coffee, bucket list trip. She wants to go to Maui, Hawaii. Most important, her family. And favorite show, Schitt's Creek, which is good taste. Also, if you go to her website, if you scroll down a little bit, there is a section called Read Scandal for Free. Scandal is a male-female historical romance set during the Regency period in England. It follows Catherine, the Duchess of Hampshire, as she, her husband, John, and their lover, Henry, try to unravel the mystery of who is blackmailing them and why. And you can access it now for free as of October 30th. So check it out. Also, if you're thinking, hey, I'd really like to interview her for a blog or podcast, she's interested. And finally, these are her books. Lights Out by Navessa Allen. Whoa. Who saw that coming? But also other books, The Kings of Kearney, Scandal, which we just talked about, The Lunatics, and Snowed In. So check them out.
Also, the book that's coming, that is a sequel to Lights Out, the name I can't quite remember, comes out in June.
Oh, how exciting. All right. So, dear Danny, what is Lights Out about?
So Lights Out is about a girl she's a nurse, a trauma nurse, who is a little obsessed with the like mask TikTok. It's the thirst traps of a guy in a mask and no shirt. Mm-hmm. And she is specifically obsessed with one specific person who she watches all the time. Well, as it turns out, it's actually her ex-fuck buddy's roommate.
And best friend.
And the reason that he does these thirst traps is because he doesn't go out in public very much and everything because his father is a serial killer. And she sends her ex-fuck buddy one of the videos one night I can't remember exactly what reason why, but she sent it to him.
Just because she was like, hey, do you want to do mask play?
It was before it was before he like officially called off their like fuck buddy situation. And she was like, hey, you want to play? And he was like, no, but he showed it to his roommate, and his roommate was like, oh, because he's already kind of obsessed with her. So he decides that he is going to hack into her everything because he is a hacker. And he kind of stalks her a little bit.
And by kind of, you mean he does.
Yeah, he does. He stalks her. And
Full board.
breaks into her house and all of this stuff. And she finds out and is kind of fine with it. Like, really gives in very easily. And then they start dating and having a fun thing. And then they accidentally murk someone. Go.
Okay, before we actually get into the book, I have to ask you both a very serious question.
Is it the same question I have? 'Cause
Probably.
I think it's the same question.
Probably. Before, or I guess after you read the book, in the middle of you read the book, maybe you already were here before, how much mask talk or mask Instagram did you look up?
It has never crossed my FYP. I was literally like, and there's a part of me that's like itching to go look it up out of pure curiosity. Not even like, ooh, this sounds good. Like, I just want to know what the people are watching, because that's a different side of TikTok.
I definitely looked it up because curiosity wins. I also maybe forgot to switch off of our podcast Instagram when I looked it up. Just heads up on that.
That explains a lot.
Yeah, but curiosity won. Danny, you look so innocent over there.
Well, we all know that I'm the weirder of, well,
Weirdness is relative.
weirdness is relative, but on this side of things, so I had been aware.
Oh, I had been aware.
I knew that it existed. I just like anytime the closest I got to mass kink TikTok, I promise you, none of their shirts were off, and I was annoyed because they were doing like lip syncs with their mask on, where they were just like bobbing their head back and forth, and I was like, this is annoying. Swipe.
I had seen a couple of videos before reading this, and then after reading this, I was like, how much of a thing is this? It's a moderate
thing. I've seen quite a few.
Let me tell you, there's not videos like she describes in this fucking book.
No.
Which is annoying.
To be fair, I don't think that would get past moderators on the app. So.
Yeah, some of the things, yes.
I hope.
I mean, I've seen many a thirst trap.
I more see motorcycle thirst traps when they have their helmets on. I see a lot of those.
I see those. I see a lot of lumberjacky thirst traps.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the lumberjacks. I've seen them. Yes. But honestly, I get more of the like emotional thirst traps where they're like laying out tacos on the ground, and they're like, the dog will go after them, and they'll be like, Sadie, leave the tacos alone. We're trying to get you a mama.
Okay, well, I just needed to ask that question, and I feel better about my choices. Let's talk about the book.
Yeah. I will say this is one of those ones where like you pay attention to the trigger warnings.
Oh yeah.
So like honestly, I'd look those up before you continue with this podcast, because it's a long fucking list.
It is.
Yeah, and I would maybe just say it's not, if you're thinking, oh, I don't have like sexual trigger warnings, those are probably not the ones that I'm thinking of that could turn you away. It's the it's the other stuff.
It's stuff related to our main character being a trauma nurse. So.
Yeah.
Well, and
others
trauma
things.
of other things.
Yeah.
I will say, never did I think twice in 1 year would I read a book that the trigger warning comes up as accidental cannibalism.
Yes. Somehow this one was worse. I don't know why. It hit different.
Well, because it wasn't.
I think the reason it hit different is it was a joke in Butcher and Blackbird, where the fuck is his name? Rowan? Accidentally eats the people meat. Whereas in this, it's childhood trauma from your father being a serial killer and cooking somebody at a
barbecue
for the whole block.
Yeah. It was a block party he served people meat at.
So if our hesitation gives you hesitation, go check out those trigger warnings. If you feel good, come back. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.
And we understand completely.
For sure. So let's get into it. Where do you want to start? There's so many places to
know,
start.
Okay, I think let's start with like the serial killer business and just get that out of the way.
Yeah, we've already started talking about it. Let's start talking about it. So Josh, our MMC, is very kind of like this recluse who his job is work from home. He's a hacker, a white hat hacker, and he is the son of a very famous serial killer, the Kendall killer, which has left him with a lot of trauma.
Well, especially because he looks a lot like his father.
Yeah. So much so that the only communal mirror in the apartment that he shares with his roommate, Tyler, is in the half bath that they both kind of share. And he tries his best to not even look in the mirror.
And the bits and pieces that we get of his serial killer father's past, right, are, as somebody who does listen to and consume true crime, confusing. Like, this man changes up his MO, it feels like, every 3 years, which is weird. They don't usually do that.
I guess I really didn't catch that. I was more focused on like how a child would grow up in a situation where they're being abused by a very like terrible father, and then also randomly finding a body in their basement, and like just having this almost I'm trying to like imagine how you would react to that, and like how so much of your past would both be like stark and terrifying, and yet just like breezed over because your mind is trying to get rid of it.
It was not clear to me, and maybe I just missed it, but how old was he when the father got caught?
I don't remember. I think they said it, but
I think he was a teenager, but like early teens.
I think so as well, because that's when he started to really learn how to do hacking and stuff.
Well, and it's when he obviously started to deteriorate in his carefulness and everything. Like he took, when he was 10, when Josh was 10, he took him in a car that had a decomposing body in the trunk
that smelled so bad that like Josh vividly remembers having to like stick his head out the window.
And then the car he like dropped him, well, and he hit him when they got to where they were going, and then took him home, and then he was gone for 2 days, and the car was spotless head to toe.
Yeah. I think one of the things about this book that I find so compelling is it is marketed as this like light-hearted, like dark rom-com, kind of the same way Butcher and Blackbird. And it could have been something just so silly and like floofy. Oh, we're going to take this mask kink thing that's like becoming popular on social media, and we're going to write like a fun romance about it. But the author actually gave both characters decent reasons for like the choices that they make, and actually like in-depth backgrounds. So I never felt like, okay, this is just, we're just accepting that this is the way it is. It's actually like, no, there are reasons.
Well, I also really like that it shows that just because you like something in the bedroom and everything like that doesn't mean that that's your entire personality. Josh is very caring and sweet and joking. Like his fucking jokes about the cat killed me the entire book.
I know. I think I love Josh so much because I expected this, I'm dark and like stalkery, and he's just like, yeah, in the bedroom that way, kind of, but also the big dork.
Oh yeah.
Massive dork.
He's like, we can't talk about that in front of our son, which is Fred, her cat.
Yes.
Well, I was right there with her, and she was like, that's a bit presumptuous, my guy. I never said you could adopt my son.
Yeah.
Never talk to my son or my son's son or my son's son's son ever again. Sorry, that's a joke for a specific group of people, and if you don't get it, I'm sorry.
The jokes together were awesome.
Yeah.
I never got tired of them interacting with each other. Even in tense moments when they had little moments that you're just like, that was fucking adorable. Or that was stupid as shit and I loved it.
Well, and I think a lot of times when we read stalker romances, it's kind of fed as just like, oh, this person has this compulsion, or maybe they grew up in the mafia, or they have like a similar family. But I really liked reading the reason that Josh is so overbearing, and he doesn't just do it to Allie, he does it to Tyler, his like best friend as well, is this defense mechanism of having to know what's happening all the time, because he grew up in a situation where his father like was hiding bodies around, you know.
Well, and Tyler defends it too. He's like, here's the thing. Yeah, it's a little annoying. It's a little weird. But when you understand the thought process behind it, it does not bother me that he needs to know my location. It means he cares.
And we also get the like brief conversation where Tyler talks about when Josh and his mom got out of the situation with his dad, that the psychiatrist that Josh then went to was also fucked up. Yeah. And so like he's been like, he got messed up by his dad, and then he went to go see professional help, and that person was also a fucking asshole and just trying to use him to like write a paper. And so this poor guy has not had a lot of people around him who are in positions where he is supposed to be able to trust them and to have them actually be trustworthy.
I will say, so I watched Woman of the Hour, which if you haven't...
I've been wanting to watch it. Is it good?
I think it is.
It's really good.
I think it's not to derail us too much on that topic, but you can tell that it is being directed by a woman, and that matters. And that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But what that story is about is this serial killer who happened to, of all things, end up on a dating show. And so you see a lot of the interactions with his victims through the victim's perspective, through these women's perspective. And so reading this at the same time as watching that drew such a clear line and delineation between what that all is, and the way that you can just sense when you're in danger. And so what I think makes this book work, and why I think it's reached such popularity, is it has all the elements of danger, of dark romance, without the feeling of, I'm not sure if Allie's going to make it out of this, right?
There was always...
I'm not sure Allie's going to be the same after this in a negative way.
Well, and I think the other thing that makes it work really well is Allie is the victim in Josh's stalking, but very quickly we realize, and Josh is very like into this, how strong she is and how much like, yes, she can't do the hacking and the stalking stuff that he does, but I think when you're reading it, it feels like very quickly the tables could have been turned on Josh because of how much of a badass she is as well.
She realizes the night that he had been in her house, that someone had been in her house, and she cleared the apartment with a gun.
Yeah. And the other part of that matters is, while she did not consent to him breaking into her home, she did not consent to him filming a thirst trap in her apartment. There is this other aspect of it where she has every step of the way after that the opportunity to give or withdraw consent. And so when I think about...
And he checks in regularly on things.
Yes. And when you think about that in the stark contrast to Sal, who I still hope gets like run over by an 18-wheeler.
Are you still talking about obsidian feathers over there?
I'm still talking about it. I'm still angry.
I know, I'm still angry too. Reading that book, I was like
confused.
Yeah.
Like, it's night and day. Like, he's supposed to be her soulmate, right? And like, from the minute she meets him, I'm like, girl, you're in danger.
Yeah.
And with Josh, you're like, girl, you've got some things to work through.
Yep. Which they both say.
Yeah.
Essentially, they're like, okay, we are going to work on this, but we can play our kinky games.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about Josh's backstory, but Allie's backstory is also dark.
Yep.
Yes. Not in quite the same way,
No.
but at least not in the malicious intent way.
Correct.
But Allie ends up losing her mother in a car accident where she was responsible for the car accident.
She was 16 and driving, and she basically she misjudged, or she
panicked and floored it instead of hitting
the brake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Her mother got impaled by a pipe.
yeah. And then I think it was only a couple months after that, her father died of a heart attack. So her mental, I don't want to say hang up, but her trauma is that she always feels like it was her fault her mom died. And so the reaction to that is to become a trauma nurse and to be there every single time in the ER in situations where she could save people's lives.
Well, and I do really love the moments where he's like, okay, but I want to tell you this. Flip this and make this another person.
Yeah.
Is that would you tell a 16-year-old child that they're responsible for their mother's death? And she goes, well, of course not. Then why do you feel responsible for it?
Well, and she's working herself to the bone. At one point, she says she hasn't taken a day of vacation in 2 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the last time it was because she had food poisoning, so she had to.
In a position where they do 12-hour days.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's also gotten herself to a place where she makes the assertion that, it's impossible to date and have the job that she has. But the reality is she just doesn't want to put herself in a position to be that vulnerable. And so that's how she ends up with his roommate, because he's happy to just be a fuck buddy.
And ain't nobody kink shame in a fuck buddy situation. But at the end of the day, just because you don't want to admit that you don't want to deal with that doesn't necessarily mean that it's true.
Right.
Well, and we see other glimpses into her life that reflect how much she's not taking care of herself. At one point, Josh is over there before she knows it's Josh, and she's offering him something to eat, and she has half and half in her fridge for her coffee and a to-go container.
And I think a frozen pizza.
Yeah, and a frozen pizza.
She goes, I have a frozen pizza and frozen pizza.
Yeah.
Which, relatable.
I mean,
Sometimes you get there where you're like,
Yeah.
Otherwise I have sauces.
Right. Would you like ketchup?
I usually only get there when I'm like consciously like, I need to clean out the fridge. So like I work on it for a week.
Right. You're eating all the random things that you're like, who knows how long this has been in the freezer? We'll see if I can still eat it.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be what kills us. It's not going to be climate change. It's going to be we ate that weird thing in the freezer and we're never the same.
I do like that the next time that she opened the fridge, there was another to-go container because he actually got her dinner.
Josh does like to take care of her.
He does.
But not in a way that feels like infantilizing.
Yeah. It's always just really like caring,
Yeah.
gentle stuff. He tried to make her breakfast.
And as a vegan, because of the whole people eating business, doesn't understand how to cook bacon or eggs.
Well, I love that when you are watching it from his perspective, he's like, and then I cook it to almost the perfect temperature. And then I got distracted and it was almost burnt. And she's like, oh my God, this isn't even cooked.
Yes. It's still like raw in the middle.
Yeah, he's like with such confidence. He was like, it was basically perfect.
There were shells in the eggs. And I'm just like, okay, even if you get the actual cooking of the eggs wrong, like you overcook them or undercook them, how do you not know that you need to make sure there are no shells in it? That shells are not something we eat.
Yeah.
Like, okay. I get it. You're vegan, but like, you do know how eggs work, right? Right?
I guess not.
I guess not.
I mean, he's so good at so many things. He can't be good at everything.
True.
All I could think was Winston from New Girl when he's like, I can't lie to you, girl. There's shells all up in those eggs.
Josh also isn't very good at his early gestures. buying her all of the home security equipment. And of course, Allie's response is, get the fuck out of here.
Are you fucking kidding me with this shit?
Right. Or the flowers.
Yeah, I'm with her on that one.
Yeah.
The like room full of flowers is just making my room not accessible.
Right. Okay, yeah. You bought me one vase of flowers. That's nice. You bought me, I don't even remember how much they said, but it was a lot.
But he learns. He gets
He does.
better.
He does.
And we do love growth.
We do.
I do love him showing up at the hospital after she's worked on a huge trauma all day, because he hacked into the hospital's security cameras so he could watch her.
Yeah, also a little questionable, but
stocky, but
A little problematic.
I like at one point Allie goes, okay, I'm starting to understand why he's doing this, because now I want to know where he is all the time. And like, I get the like impulse to like always want to know where they are. Just like, hey, where are you? I just have my location turned on. I don't need any more than that. But also, I would hate having somebody just like watching me all the time. Not because of the creep factor, because, sometimes we do gross things in our privacy.
Yeah.
And I want to keep that. You don't need to see that.
Fine, I'll turn off the cameras.
Wiggles.
Jeez.
I need to see that one time I was picking my wedgie out.
I mean,
One time?
Big facts. Big facts there.
I have kind of an opposite reaction of I don't want people to know where I am most of the time. But I also have a very different relationship with relationships.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't care if for some reason Wiggles was like, listen, because of my trauma, I need to know where you are all the time. I was like, cool, here's my location. Knock yourself out. I'm not that interesting. But like when you're
She's still at the house.
She hasn't left in 3 days. Do I need to do something about this?
Or is she just having a lazy weekend? It's hard to say.
Just to know. Maybe I'll just check in real quick. You all right, bitch?
You alive?
I mean, I'm alive, but I'm so alone.
Walk around the block if you're okay.
Oh, God.
Oh, good. She walked to the grocery store.
So proud of you, Danny. Just cheering you on over the phone. You did so great.
I live like a block from the grocery store.
Like, I do too. Like, I walk to the grocery store all the time. Usually it's not for good reasons. Usually it's to buy high chai and wine. So
those are excellent reasons. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
okay, let me rephrase that. Healthy reasons.
Yeah.
Well.
Well, but you negated it by the walk.
That's what I tell myself.
Yeah, you basically burned all those calories. That's how that works.
Yeah, that's totally how that works.
The grocery store is connected to my apartment's parking lot.
I'm not quite that close.
Not
But
a far walk at all. But that's also sometimes why I can't justify like getting in the car to go there.
yeah, if you're not getting enough to warrant like needing the car to bring all that stuff back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Sometimes my only justification for taking the car is that it's a Midwest winter and fuck that shit.
That's a fair justification.
It is. It gets like -40 below outside.
Yeah, it sucks here.
Yeah.
We live in the tundra.
I still can't justify having groceries delivered when the grocery store is that close, though.
That's fair.
Yeah. Anyway,
I will say for this couple, I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of either of their loves. They're both overbearing.
Oh, yeah.
And that's, I think,
Yeah,
what makes
no.
it work. Like they are the same amount of too much.
Well, it's like when you read Butcher and Blackbird. Yeah. Dating a serial killer who puts cameras in your kitchen like Sloane does might be problematic. But when you're both doing it, it's okay.
yeah.
It's okay.
I mean, to be fair, Rowan stalked first. So
True that.
Sloane can kind of do whatever she wants after that. Rules is rules.
I think actually she broke into their scheduling system first so that she could always know when he was at work.
Psh, doesn't matter. I'm on Sloane's side.
But I do like that, she had been working a really bad trauma.
Mm-hmm.
She was 12, 15 hours on her feet at that point.
Was that the mass shooting or was that the
Mass shooting.
Okay.
And so he shows up in the mask, sitting in her car. He's like, here's the thing. You can't drive right now. So I have your gun and your knife. You can hold it on me.
Yeah.
I also have you snacks.
The snacks was the big winner for me. I was
Yes.
like, you brought snacks?
I was like, sir, you
Well-
brought snacks.
This is what he does successfully, though. Like, in all of these, like, macho alpha male kind of characters that we've read, the thing that annoys me about all of them is they're like, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to protect you. And then, like, they don't do any of the taking care of you that anyone actually fucking wants.
Right.
I mean, like, obviously, if there's a murderer, stop the murderer. That's pretty cool. But, like, the day-to-day, you're not fighting off a murderer every day. I'm not that popular. So, like, the, like, bringing snacks and making sure she's warm, like, getting her feet on the radiator, which happens later, like, all that kind of stuff. That's what,
Yeah.
that's
That's the
it.
stuff that matters.
He does the top. Well, and he also, in all of these situations where she could be alarmed because he's there and everything, he gives her the control. She is armed. Granted,
Well-
you do find out that he put blanks in the gun.
That's just smart. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Don't give a loaded gun to a woman who's fried mentally and physically.
Yeah.
But the knife was real.
The knife was real, so
And
much
she
so that she
stabbed him
stabbed
with
him.
it.
Well, and you can still, in the wrong set of circumstances, you can still get injured with a blank.
You can still kill somebody with a blank.
You can.
You can. Okay, now you're listening to our podcast on how to kill people. It's fine.
I mean, it just makes me think of the movie The Crow.
It makes me think of the movie that never happened with Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Sad. Anyway, that whole scene gets real spicy real fast. They go from like, hey, I'm lusting after you from afar to being like, guess what? We're up close and
Yeah.
personal, about to go down.
He kept describing while she's giving him a blowjob like she was doing something incredible, and you never find out what it was.
That was a little bummer for me too. I was like, he just keeps going, she's doing something. And I'm like, what is she doing? What is
That's
she
what
doing?
we
What is she
need
doing?
answers. What the fuck? Because she like he describes it as she put her hand intentionally in front of like what was happening, and I'm like, we need the secrets. What is she doing?
Well, but even before Allie gets in the car, one of the things that Josh says is, I will either drive you home or call a car service. So even when it seems like he's taking her choice away, he's not. He's just saying, don't drive. Here are two options. Either come with me or go with a car service. And she does come with him. Well, she doesn't. He does. But anyway.
I mean, as a fellow obstinate bitch, that's the way around it. Like, if you give me the option of you do things my way or else, I go with the else.
Yeah,
route.
every time. I'm just like, fuck you.
But if you go, okay, here is one reasonable response, or here is another reasonable response. I obviously want you to do this one, but if I can't get you to do that one, could you please do this one? That
Please
works.
do this one for your own health and safety.
Fine, I hate you.
So obviously we do not have Allie's trauma.
No.
Or the fact that, so the other thing we haven't mentioned is before she and Josh meet up as the Faceless Man, which is his handle, she has been stalking, like social media stalking him, or more importantly, the Faceless Man, for a long time.
Yeah, she's been in that parasocial relationship for a long time.
Yeah. So here's the question. You get to the situation of the car. Do you get in the car or not?
Me? I'm assuming I'm going to get murdered, so
Yeah, that's...
I wouldn't get in the car.
I wouldn't get in the car either. I would need more proof or evidence up to that point that this is a safe person.
Because up until that point, he really hasn't provided it.
No.
Like assurance.
He
Every time
hasn't.
she asks him, how do I know I'm safe with you? He's like, you can't.
Which, I mean, is fair. Like he's being the most honest, but also thinking of her and saying, you need to know that you can't. I am a stranger from the internet. You don't know who I am. You need to understand that at this point, you shouldn't be trusting me.
I was just trying to think of, am I obsessed with anything on like TikTok so much that I would be like, ooh.
Okay, change it out. It's David Tennant.
But the thing is, she already knows David Tennant's safe.
David Tennant is safe.
What if he's a sneaky sneak?
True that.
People thought Cosby was safe.
True. Don't you put
I'm not
my
saying
s-
that.
Don't you put
I'm
my
not
sweet
saying.
David Tennant in the same.
I'm not. I'm just saying, just because they're a good seeming celebrity doesn't mean they are.
I know. I'm thinking to like, because there are certain TikTok creators that I follow like religiously.
Right.
For instance, See You Later's Hell's Bells series. I watch that religiously.
Right. But even though women, because she uses she, they, or sorry, she, her, right? Pronouns. Even though women can also be bad and we can also kill people, statistically, you are significantly safer.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out, you got to find a male example, because that's the only way it would be real.
A random woman I don't know from the internet
Yeah,
shows up in my car. I'm calling the police.
I probably am.
Even if they
too.
hand you a gun and a knife.
I think that's more reason. Like, are you trying
I don't know
to
where that-
entrap me?
Yeah, I was
Like,
gonna say, I don't
are you
know where
getting
that
my
gun's been.
fingerprints on a gun? That's my thought process.
It was
But it is
her
your
gun,
gun.
though.
It's
So your finger's already on it. It is your gun.
That's true. But is she aware enough to know that's her gun at the beginning?
I don't know.
I don't know.
She's pretty tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the other thing. Brain fried.
Like already put in a request to have 2 weeks off.
I think if my brain was that fried, I would be stupid enough actually to get into the car. I'd just be like, I need to go home so bad. Oh, look, I have the weapons. Take me home. But
I
he also
know a male creator I would get in the car with. Nurse John.
Who's
all
Nurse
right.
John?
Oh, that is.
He's a nurse, and he's also a comedian. He does funny skits about nurses and nursing, and they're fucking funny.
Yeah.
I think if there was one that I would get in the car with, it would be Paloma Diamond. And if you don't know who Paloma Diamond is, please look her up and enjoy and have a fantastic time getting caught up on the history of Paloma Diamond. I can't think of what the actual creator's name is, but if you look up Paloma Diamond, there's only one bitch, right? And yeah, if Paloma Diamond's sitting in my car, I'd be like, I mean, I'm not going in the vein of like meow meow meow. I'm going, okay, tell me everything about how you came up with this character.
Probably Mama Jen as well. She's the leader of the Church of Fuckery.
I don't know. The other good thing that thing that was like comforting that Josh did is he literally put the GPS into her house so she knew at every stage like that's exactly where he was going.
And then when he did turn off it because she was making him go cray cray, she's like, "What the fuck?" And he's like, "Nope, you're right. I'm sorry."
Yeah. I don't know if I would be giving people blowjobs in that situation.
No, I wouldn't be.
But she was also running on, like you said, that paranormal relationship.
Yeah.
Parasocial.
You know the one.
Parasocial relationship.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's no one I'm watching on TikTok at this point that has me that keyed up that I would get into a car if they randomly showed up in it and I'd give them a blowjob. I'm not there.
No.
Which I think means that all these creators need to step it up.
I think that just means you're not following the right people.
I don't watch a lot of
Apparently.
thirst traps, honestly.
No.
I don't either. I don't know. It's so difficult for me to ever think about like what I would do in random situations because I've been married for so long. I don't know what it's like to just see somebody at a bar and go, let's hook up real quick.
I don't know either because that's not what's at the bar. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't say that that's ever been the situation.
I've never walked into a bar and be like, crack me off a piece of that Kit Kat, I'm just like, have you bathed?
I had a
No,
guy ask
you
me if he could
clearly
kiss
haven't.
me, and I said no.
At least he asked.
He did ask. He really started to push then.
Oh,
And I
that's no
was
bueno.
at the bar that I used to work at, so I literally just was like, ah, bartender friend.
Yeah.
Let me behind, please. And they're like, yep, come here.
I've been groped too many times, as I'm sure we all have.
Oh, yes.
That my guard is up like all of the time in those situations. And obviously I'm not looking for anything because again, I'm married, but just like if I'm ever alone in like a bar or a restaurant or something, I'm just like, don't look at me. Don't talk to me. Don't interact with me.
I don't hesitate to throw elbows anymore.
Proud of you. It's actually really hard to overcome that like social expectation of being nice.
Yeah, no, I throw elbows. I did have when a friend of ours and I were at a bar one time, we were walking across the dance floor and this guy like wrapped his like hands, like grabbed my hips, and I just used my elbows on either side of me and just slid his hands off me.
Nice.
And then he grabbed my arm and started screaming at me and told me I was a fucking bitch, and the bouncer materialized out of the fucking mist.
Damn.
Instantly.
Okay, so great. We all have terrible instincts about maybe some people we would get into cars with. But when she's in the car, we only briefly mentioned it, Allie stabs Josh. And like, I'm not sure how, because Josh isn't entirely sure how, but she stabs him in the hand.
It was an accident. She didn't do it on purpose. She was just getting real into her BJ situation. She was about that BJ life. But she stabs him in the hand. And then she's like, oh my God, what the fuck?
Well, to be fair, he doesn't give her a reaction to react to. He's just like, ow, that doesn't feel good. Or does it?
Well, yeah, his first reaction is, ow. Does that?
Ow?
Wait a minute. Am I into this?
Ow, ow.
There's so many moments where he's like, oh, praise King unlocked. And I'm like, I love that he's figuring out things about himself.
Well, that's
They
the
both
other.
do.
Well, that's the other thing is like Allie is learning some of her darker kinks. I say darker, like, is it really darker? I don't know, but we will label it that way. But he is too, because he's not necessarily out there having relationships with people where you can kind of explore that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, also, and I think this is maybe one of the things I liked best about it, is that he keeps discovering things that he's like, normally the Dom is not interested in having the things that they do to their sub to them. And he's like, can we switch back and forth? Maybe I'll let you do this to me, because I think that's hot.
I liked it. I didn't like that we didn't get to see enough
Oh,
of it.
yes.
Like having Allie tie him up or use the like sex toys on him. That even just like a little bit, that would have been hot.
Just a little after one or something.
Yeah.
Because he clearly wants to. So yeah, I was bummed that never happened.
But outside of the bedroom, Allie is as domineering, I don't know, strong-willed as Josh is,
Yeah.
instead of having like a simpering female lead.
Well, I also like he has part of the thing that really fucked him up with the psychiatrist is that he is convinced that he is at some point going to turn into his father. And so he's having these moments of self-discovery. Like when he broke into the house, he didn't know she had a cat. He sees Fred and he gets concerned. He's never let himself have a pet because he's afraid he is going to end up hurting the animal. And he's kind of like, oh, I have no desire to hurt this animal whatsoever.
In fact, I'm actually very protective of this animal.
In fact, I will kill for this animal.
In fact, this is my baby now.
Yeah,
That's
this
so
is my
wild.
child. This is my son. His name is Fred.
Yeah. I also like that every time she threatens him, he's like, that might be a good time though.
Right.
He threatens him and he's like, and I popped a boner. And you're like, okay, sir.
Okay.
Right when she's like, how would you like it if I broke into your apartment and stalked you and put cameras everywhere? And he's like,
yes, please.
actually, though, that's okay.
I think I'd like to come home to you covered in blood. I think I might be into that. And oh boy. The other thing that I like about it is that he pursues her after that with like, he has a moment of clarity. Holy shit, I broke into her apartment. She must be fucking livid with me, and rightfully so. And so everything after that is him going, I need to make up for this. I need to do better. This was stupid. But also, why do you make me so hard? Like, that's his mentality, and it's the cycle that he keeps coming back to.
Well, he also has a moment of clarity where he's like, okay, I really like her. She doesn't know who he thinks. She doesn't know who he is. She's well aware of who he is at this point because she hires him to track himself down. She knows the minute she gets there that it's him.
Right. So
He's like, but I was wearing gloves. Like, what, bro?
yeah. So Allie, because again, she's not a simpering female lead. She hires Josh to track the Faceless Man. And yeah, it's very much like a Clark Kent situation of, okay, yeah, you're not wearing the mask, but bro, you are covered in tattoos and you have the same physical build. Like,
And-
you're not hiding anything.
And all his TikToks are made on the same couch and or bedroom.
Right.
And so she walks in and she's like, bruh.
To be fair, that didn't happen until later.
True.
But also, she's testing him, and I love that. She's like, oh, I'm pretty sure this hand's damaged. I'm going to squeeze it real fucking hard.
Yeah, because she stabbed it.
Yeah.
And then stitched it up.
Yes.
But his moment of clarity there is that he's like, okay, we've done things
Yeah.
that very enjoyable things, but they have not actually had sex. And he draws the line at her not knowing who he actually is before they go that far and not knowing the backstory with his father. He won't do it until he's had this whole discussion with her, which I kind of appreciate that there's like a level to it that he's like, okay, but
Well, there's a lot of, like we talked about, there's a lot of self-discovery that Josh is doing through this for a lot of the like either stalker or dark romances. The Dom, who's typically the male main character, doesn't really have that much emotional growth. Or if they do, it's them going from being like, I'm so tough to, but also I can love people.
Whoa.
Whereas Josh is like, oh, yeah, I want to do this. Okay, maybe there's more to like being with another person. Oh shit, I kind of fucked her up a little bit when I just broke into her house. That was a bad idea.
Well, he really gets like a sharp perspective shift when the actual fucking serial killer breaks into her house while they are together. Because while she's working one of her trauma shifts, it comes in and they're like 99.99% sure that this guy has assaulted this woman. And they're like, motherfucker. And then he gets discharged, and the very next day he's back in the hospital, and no one wants to treat him because they all know who he is and what he did. And our girl Allie says, I'll fucking do it. I don't give a shit. And proceeds to do her damnedest to not give him any reaction, not let him see what's going on. And then he does just the right amount of shit to get her to give him that reaction, and gives him...
But it's not the reaction he wanted.
No.
She pops off at him.
Yes. And so his reaction to that is, well, guess who got bumped up to the top of my motherfucking list?
Yeah.
And then Josh gets nervous for her because, again, he is watching through the cameras and goes and he doesn't pick her up. He basically says he wants to meet her at the house, and she's taking an Uber home because he doesn't want her to drive. It's been another long shift.
Right.
And so they're there together. They have wonderful sexy times. They're happy as a clam and in bed. And then the alarms on his phone start going off, and it's the camera alarm for the security system that he bought her. Which, how much money this man got?
I mean, he's a hacker. He could have infinite money. But he does say that he does say that it specifically is coming from somebody else's bank account at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's somebody who tried to hack into his work, and so he like reverse hacks them and then uses their bank account to buy shit. But also, just like PSA, I don't know. Cameras and stuff for your house aren't that expensive.
No, I know they're not. But
You can get a Ring, like a Ring doorbell, which has cameras and stuff on it for less than $100.
I think the issue I have with them is that they're very easily hackable.
Yeah, they are.
Just like the camera on your computer. But, which he does use against her at one point.
he does.
So,
He plants a camera in her house. He also takes over the camera of her laptop.
Which is how she ends up with like, how is he still listening to me while simultaneously looking up, can someone spy on you through your computer?
Yes.
And he's like, yep, sure can.
I think that's one of my favorite things is when, so like back when he is still just the faceless man to her, and he's like, she's doing shit, and he's texting her or DMing her or whatever in the process of like, don't do that. What are you doing? And she's just like, fuck you, motherfucker. And I was like, that's the correct reaction.
Yes. I'd be like, God damn it. But I got that competitive streak.
So does Allie.
Yes.
Yes, she very much does. But so the alarms on his phone are going off, and they're going off very loudly, and he set them that way on purpose. And Brad is trying to break into her house with a murder kit.
Yeah. Chloroform, rope, duct tape, all sorts of shit.
Well, and it's pretty easy to deduce from that, you know, up until that point, we're thinking this guy maybe is a serial rapist. But it's really clear at that point to Josh that this is not his first kill.
Yeah.
Correct.
Or attempt to kill. And in that moment, it's like this, like, pure clarity comes down over him where he's like, holy fucking shit, if I feel like this, how the fuck did she feel when I first broke into her apartment? Like, I have amends to make.
Well, up until that point, I think Josh keeps telling himself, and Allie does too, that some of the things that she had commented on his videos, which were, oh, I would love it if he broke in and did this to me or whatever. That's like, that's not actually her asking that. That's this fantasy, this game, this, you know, just shit you put out there sometimes on social media. And yeah, Josh has that immediate reaction of, oh, fuck, what I did was so much worse than what I thought.
Well, she doesn't want him to actually do that in the same way John Oliver does not want Adam Driver to actually step on his neck.
Right.
Except that maybe he does.
Maybe he does.
Maybe he does. Maybe we all do.
Maybe we all do.
Anyway, after that, after the break-in, for me, the book, pacing-wise, takes a huge nosedive. I just was not into it as much. I won't say that I didn't find parts of it enjoyable, and I wasn't like, it didn't have moments where it picked up, but it just was not on the same level as the beginning of the book for me.
I think that's a lot of the common feedback that I've seen, like on reviews that I've read of this book, because that's when we get the mafia angle introduced. And I think my thought process there is I didn't mind the mafia angle at all. I just think it needed to be introduced way sooner.
I agree with that. I also think that it could have been a very similar book without the mafia angle whatsoever. They could have called the cops on him.
Yeah.
In that moment, and you know, there would have had to been, I mean, I understand the drama aspect of it, they accidentally kill him, that situation, but like, he broke into her house.
Well, Josh continuously says, don't call the cops, don't call the cops, and that's part of his trauma of not wanting to be related to his father. He doesn't want to go to the ER when Allie accidentally stabs him, and so like I get that, but even after they accidentally kill him, yeah, the book could have been the same if they would have just disposed of the body.
Yeah.
Well, and Allie is, even for a trauma nurse, way too calm in that entire situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have hyperventilated like a motherfucker. We accidentally killed him.
Right.
Well, Allie's reaction, I kind of understand. Like, yes, as a trauma nurse, she sees death a lot. So it's not as like fresh or new to see somebody that has just died. But also, she is fucking angry and she does not get over that. And I don't think I would either. Like, that doesn't, this man was trying to break into your house to rape you and then kill you.
Right. And I think that under other circumstances, Josh would have been the person to step in and say, hey, no. We're going to drop him off at the police station or something.
Yeah.
Like, but he was so wrapped up in his trauma that he couldn't like talk her down from a moment where he really needed to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and he's reacting in multiple ways, right? Like he specifically is the one who put the duct tape over both the mouth and the nose and killed him.
Yes.
And so he's also freaking out because he's like, shit, am I destined to become my father in this way?
It was an accident, bud.
Yeah. And, you know, we can all see that logically, but I'm sure a person who's been so terrified their
Yes.
entire life that they were going to end up in this situation and then ends up there cannot see, like...
Well, and I mean, they weren't going to do nice things to him. They were going to drop him off hogtied at the
The family.
last victim's family's house.
Yeah.
Well, and this is the one problem I have with their entire thought process. Assuming everything went to plan, their presumption is that the family is going to kill him.
Yes.
And what I have an issue with that is that it means that there are so many other people, because they suspect him of having many victims that are never going to get found. They're never going to have justice, right? And I understand we've got a broke ass fucking system, but there is an aspect of it where I don't understand why your thought process isn't, how do we convince this fucker to confess and turn that shit in?
Yeah. I mean, like, I can kind of get it, though, because the situation is set up that Brad, the bad guy, he's going to get off because he literally just he was originally brought to the ER with the victim he was caught in the act after he drugged her by other people. Like, there are witnesses to him assaulting her and still got off scot-free. So
I don't think he would have had that same ability. I think he would have gotten a much lighter sentence than he deserves, but I don't think he would have had that same ability because of the video evidence.
I mean, I agree. Logically, I agree, but I could also see how in that situation, when you were almost that victim, your thought process is he just needs to go away so he can never do this again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, like all of the shenanigans that ensue about like getting his computer and like making sure people find out that he's got all these other victims, including dead bodies in the basement. I don't know. Like that whole chunk of it, I was like, I just wasn't as interested. And maybe that's just me. But I was, one, not happy with the choices they were making. And two, it seemed to go on really long because they kept fucking it up over and over and over again.
My one thing with that is there's this moment. It's the final part of like the mob situation. They went to dinner. Because the whole thing is that she owes her uncle a favor now because they drove Brad's dead body to his house.
Yeah.
And he had to deal with it. Is that she now has to go to dinner with her family once a month. She hasn't really had any relationship with the mob family because her parents didn't want her to. And they get done having dinner and everything. They're getting ready to leave, and her uncle is kind of threatening him. And he's like, here's the thing. I recorded that entire conversation, and if you fuck with me or fuck with Allie, I will fuck your world. And I'm like, oh, my sweet boy Josh. Oh, I love you. Because he also doesn't trust them as far as he can throw them. Not when it comes to Allie, but when it comes to himself. Because they would leave him in a heartbeat, and he didn't. He thought it probably was a good possibility that they would have left him in the basement of Brad's house to take the fall for everything if Allie hadn't gotten out of the car. And she thought so too, and that's why she got out of the car.
Yeah, that is also one of my big complaints about the whole thing is like, again, I don't mind the mafia angle. I don't have a problem with the Brad angle. I just think the first part of the book, which is so heavily focused on Josh and Allie getting together. And we get some really great moments. We get some really good spies, which we haven't talked about, but we will.
Oh, yes, we will.
But then when we get to this like second half where Allie finds out that it is in fact Josh, she already knew. They finally put the P in the V. Well, that's what happens.
I'm sorry, you've just never referred to it that way, and it made me giggle.
You got to keep it fresh and interesting. But we spend so much time on these characters that like just don't really matter. And maybe if they'd been introduced earlier and there was more conflict earlier between Allie and her mafia family, it could have been more interesting.
Do we know, does the second book have to do with any?
The main character is Junior.
Of course
Yeah.
it is. Okay.
And I feel like that's the only reason we paid any
Yeah.
of the attention that we were paying to them. Because here's the thing. If I was, with the way that they've got the rest of the book structured, right? If I was writing this to be a standalone, the Mafia would be a chapter.
Yeah.
Right? It would be, we go to them, they take the body, they take care of it. We think we're scot-free, or scot-free as you can get. And then something goes wrong, we have some conflict, and then we have to resolve it. Right? And this book would be that much shorter and would have gotten to the same ending. And I feel like the only reason they kept fucking up and they kept getting in a situation where they had to go back and deal with the Mafia was to give us a reason to give a fuck about Junior. And the thing is, I don't think you needed it. Like, you could just tell me that, introduce this character and be like, he's going to be the next male lead. And you'll be like, all right.
We're all, I mean, not all, but like, I was going to read the next book anyway, even if you hadn't have like introduced Junior as much.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. Honestly, I was thinking it was going to be the roommate. I think that Dum Dum has potential.
Tyler?
Yes.
I just don't know how you make him dark, because Josh
I don't
already
think
knows.
he's the dark one.
Oh, I like that. This I like. This I like.
Oh,
I was
very much like
Dum
that angle.
Dum is his already accepting of darker tendencies, and we've already got him established as this guy who's like, I'm not into that kinky shit, and then until he meets somebody who makes him into that kinky shit.
I do like this.
Also,
Yeah.
he could add.
You
some
can have that
golden-
one for free, Navessa Allen.
He's got I realize he's a big dum dum and everything, but he's also got some like golden retriever energy when it
Oh,
comes.
for sure.
Like, but it's like hidden at first. You're like, oh, all right, you're kind of a jerk, and then it's like, no, you're actually just a really caring friend.
Oh, he's
also
Tyler.
actually kind of a great guy though, because
Yeah.
like, who gives that fuck of a much of a care about your fuck buddies that you're like, yeah, I'll help you out, person I haven't talked to in months.
Right, like he helps Allie by saying, oh yeah, for sure, Josh will help you. But also all the stuff Tyler does for Josh.
Oh, yeah.
Like when he starts listing it out, he won't bring anybody over to the apartment that likes true crime at all. That's like one of the first things he asks them. And so this was one of my favorite little gems. It's a tiny itty bitty baby gem. But when Tyler is talking to Josh, he's talking about one of his previous hookups, and he's like, why do you think you never met Eric? I never brought him over because he liked true crime.
Bing,
and you
bing,
get that
bing, bing,
tiny,
bing, bing.
tiny little moment of Tyler being like, oh, my sweet bye boy.
Yes.
Oh, I know. Yep, I had. There's also it's another like little nugget of like, I heard it and went, oh. He's like, dude, if I thought that you guys would hit it off, I would have brought her over immediately. And I'm like, you instantly would have brought her over if you knew that like you would have been perfect for each other.
Yeah, because Tyler's like, I mean, we fucked and it was great,
We're
but
just here
like,
for
we fucked
were
and it
just
was
having
good,
some
but,
sex. That's it.
but if you
two
guys
are
want
adorable
to
together.
if you guys want to like be together, this is great.
Yes.
Love this for both of you, because that's the thing. Like, obviously, because he's willing to help Allie, he does care about her, not
Yeah.
in a romantic way, but he doesn't dislike her. He doesn't want any harm to come. He wants to help in a way he can.
And okay, so we keep saying that Tyler's a big dum dum, and I'm not saying like in some ways he's not, but also he is a finance bro who wakes up early to watch his favorite finance show.
True.
Yeah.
So
True.
he is 6'5", blue eyes, finance.
He's hot.
Yeah.
And we don't get much of a description, but he's hot. I just know this.
Yeah, I know he's not 6'5", because I think at one point she specifically says he's shorter than Josh, but he's
Yeah.
a finance guy.
He's a finance guy. He's not stupid. He's just
Which
a
means
little
sometimes he wears
oblivious at times.
suits.
Oh, and you know he works out because he and Allie met at the gym.
Yeah. Which means if he wears suits, then he wears dress shirts. And if he wears dress shirts,
He wears
rolls up
ties.
the sleeves sometimes.
Oh, I was gonna say he wears ties, and ties can be used for many things.
I love that too. I love that too. Okay, so we've given you the material for your next book. Yeah. So speaking of getting tied up,
Oh boy, are we gonna get there? Are we gonna
I
go
think-
there?
I think
let's
we're
get
gonna
there.
make
I
that
think it's
transition.
time.
Allie does get tied up,
Oh yeah, she does.
but not with any former knowledge that that's what's gonna happen. Because apparently she needs to be punished for like helping Josh out of problems. Like that was one of those things where I was like, I understand that it's just to facilitate your game, but my guy, your logic ain't logic.
It's an excuse.
Yeah.
It's an excuse, but no, the real punishment is because she broke her word. Like she wasn't supposed to come out of
his trust. Boo-hoo, get over it, bitch.
Yeah,
she
but
saved your life.
It's not like, okay, I'm actually really upset you broke my trust. It's like, here's a way that I can use this as our game.
I can punish you.
Yeah. That's okay. We are skipping way ahead though.
Okay, fine. Let's back up.
Like, because we talked about the blowjob, and that was like, okay, that was kind of hot.
Except I'm mad that I
want to know what she did.
I need more details for sure.
Details, yeah.
But then we get to probably my favorite sex scene because it's very like, is it taboo? I don't know. Who's to say? But Allie is like expecting Josh to be there when she gets home. She's a hard day at work, and she's like, I just need to get that dick. And he's not there. So our sassy lady decides that she's going to turn the camera back on that he uses to watch her and get herself off to be like, you were not here. Well, this is what you're missing. I was like, good job.
Good job.
And he's like, motherfucker, and turns off the lights for the entire city block.
Yeah.
Yep.
I also just realized I was mixing two sex scenes in my head. So I do love this sex scene, but it's not my favorite. We'll talk about that one next.
Okay.
Which is still not the tying up one. There's a lot of sex scenes.
There's a lot of sex in this book. This is true.
I think I know the one you're talking about.
The knife one?
The knife one.
Yes. Anyway, so what I like about that one is that he doesn't come in and then go, okay, I'm getting this D wet. He comes in and is like, you're going to finish what you started and you're going to show me the deets.
He edges her so hard.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I was just like, honestly, I'm sorry for you, girl. Like, are you okay? And she even gets asked that question in a different way. And in asking herself, she's like, I don't know, am I? But also do it again. But like, I don't know if that was good. But like, maybe. But like more. But like never. But also maybe yes.
At one point she says to Josh, I'm not sure if I want to tell you to never do that again or do it again right now. I don't know where I am.
While simultaneously doing the flip-flops in her head as well. And you're just like, I don't know. Are you okay? Are you?
I wasn't.
I was just like, God damn. I was listening to this while I was working out, and I was like, okay. And sure enough, while I'm listening, while I'm working out, I'm climbing up that motherfucking hill, somebody comes into the gym, is working out next to me, and I was like, you need to get the fuck out of here. Personal space at this time. He did not leave, fun fact.
Oh, that's terrible.
And he was really bad at working out. Like really bad. Like, imagine like doing a curl, but like you're twisting your wrist the whole time. And I'm like, maybe you can't lift that weight, my guy. Like, that's not what you're supposed to be doing with your arm. Anyway, that's not the point.
Also,
people
work
gotta
out shame people.
Yeah.
I think I can work out shame you if you're trying to look tough. If you're going to walk into a gym and act like you're like, I'm so tough, look at what I can do, and then you can't do it, I feel entitled to shame that shit.
That's fair. A lot of people use the gyms to just be like awful. Actually, just awful.
Swing their dicks around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the next sex scene. I can't remember why Allie tells Josh to just like go all the way. Something happens and Allie's like, just do all of the dark shit. And he says, okay. And so he stabs a knife into her bed and makes her ride the knife handle. I mean, like you do.
Logically.
But I do love that he stabs her bed. She's like, that was fucking expensive. He's like, there's a new one arriving tomorrow.
Don't worry about it.
And then it's like almost in anticipation of her hesitation, he's like, I have disinfectant wipes for the handle. And I was like, okay, good boy.
And then is also like, now listen, I'm going to put my hand at the hilt of the knife So you can only go so far. Like,
There's no way you're going to cut yourself on this.
trust me.
Yes.
And I'm like, and I like that because I
do.
feel like in a lot of these books, we get sex scenes where my brain has to stop and go, well, that can't work. Or you fucking just wrecked my bed, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So we just stopped all of
We
those
just
thoughts.
circumvent
Yes.
the intrusive thoughts because I would be furious if somebody stabbed my bed.
Right?
Yeah. And I also like appreciate that he thought about like the type of knife he was using. He thought
Yes.
about the circumference of the knife handle. Like you can get a lot of knife handles that have like that like ribbing on the edge that's like metal, and
Yeah.
that's gonna fuck up your walls. Jesus Christ. Yeah, you're imagining it right now and you're sore.
That made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do
Or
like
that has like a really big pommel, like flare on
Yeah.
the pommel, and you're
Yeah.
like, well, that won't work.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, if you're going to do that shit, like, let's be considerate. And so, again, win for Josh.
Yeah. And also, while his hand is there are plenty of other things to touch. I'm like, yes, touch away.
And he does.
And he
does.
does. Well, and I also like that she mentions that the temperature differentiation between the knife
Well,
and
that's
what
just fun, Danny.
it is fun. I liked it. That's why I liked that it was mentioned. I was like, oh, how lovely.
Uh-huh.
I was having a really good time while listening to the knife scene.
Yeah. Yeah. Then we do the tie-up scene.
Which
Yes.
is my favorite.
Well, I mean, I think there's like the shower scene, but boring. That was romantic.
Yeah.
Tie-up
That
scene.
was romantic. That was their like first
That was
actual
their first
fucking.
actual
Yeah.
P&V, though,
Yeah.
I think.
Yes.
So,
Is
apparently that was important to him.
a fairly normal, although he does bite her good.
He does. He's like, oh, you want me to mark you? Bitch, I'm in. I'm so in. But also, like, she really plays up the girth of this man. And I'm like, how big is he?
She does mention at one point that like he hits her cervix, and again, I will always tell every author there's nothing about that sounds pleasant to me.
Well, she likes pain.
She does like pain.
Okay.
I will give that one.
Sorry, a little too much TMI. Danny, as the editor, gets to decide whether it goes in or out. As somebody who has experienced that exact situation, it is not enjoyable.
I'm aware.
No.
I'm like,
Same.
and yeah, a little bit of pain is fun. There are certain pains that are not fun, and that is one of them.
Yep.
Well, and because those pains don't go away the next day.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
So you're just sitting at work trying to mind your business and you're like, I want to die.
And also, sometimes if it's a little too aggressive, your period starts a little early.
Fuck.
And you're like, that fucking sucks.
Anyway.
So I will say it did crack me up. Then she's like, I need to go get Plan B. Mm-hmm. And he goes, I thought you said you were on the pill, because that would make me very upset if my
Yes.
partner
Right,
lied about
yeah.
that situation. She goes, I am, but I don't trust my ovaries in this situation. I'm like, girl, same. Girl,
Well,
same.
okay, but that's not how biology works, but okay.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. But you know what is? No contraception is 100% effective.
Correct.
No, that double down for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. If you don't want that shit, you can double down every day of the week. Lock
Yep.
it up. Lock it up, because you might be like, I'm safe. And then you're like, ooh.
I'm going to sit here very quietly.
So here's what I like about the tie-up scene. Yes, is it dubious consent? Technically. But these two have been doing way worse dubious consent situations all the way up
For
to
sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I think by that point, while they maybe didn't have the exact conversation of please tie me up in the middle of the night, it seems like they definitely had the anything goes until we say no.
Right.
Yes, and that's mentioned multiple times
Yeah.
through the entire book. They keep saying no safe words, but what that actually means is the second you say stop
Right.
this right now,
It stops.
it stops.
Yeah.
Well, my brain kept going to, but you do have a safe word. You just said it's stop.
Yeah.
Is your safe word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And so like, yes, she has that like rush of adrenaline. They keep saying it's like this rush of fear, and it's like, but not really.
No, not it's adrenaline until like the situation fully comes to a picture in her brain.
She wakes up tied up.
Yes.
Which
I mean, I
gonna
wouldn't
lie,
turn that down. Yeah,
I would be very happy about that situation.
yeah.
I would.
Confused because
It's one of those things where I can only enjoy in this format because, like, if I can't move my arms, I go into
Yes.
full panic mode. So I would have a full-on meltdown, and it would not be sexy.
I would have to very much trust my partner, which is where I have an issue.
Oh, for sure. It's not something that that is one of the things that I really enjoyed about this book is when you are exploring different sexual kinks. Typically that's not just with like your one night stands. I mean, maybe, you might have those conversations ahead of time and set that situation up. But especially when it's your first time experiencing that,
Yeah.
you're doing it with somebody that you have that level of trust with.
Yeah. That's the whole
So-
point of those kinks and
Yeah.
situations is the trust has to be there.
Yeah.
And that's what I think I liked most about that one is by then there's justifiable reason for her to trust him. And so that whole like sequence that plays out, I just really enjoyed. I was like, I might listen to this again later. Ba-ba-da-ba-da-bum.
The couple that slays together stays together.
Okay, but I have to say, I hate that. I hate that tagline being attached to this book. They killed one guy
I know.
accidentally.
Yeah, that's the tagline that goes on Butcher and Blackbird, where they have killed like 4 or 5 people together.
Yes, that's where it's appropriate. But they
Yeah.
have it actually written on the under of this book, and I'm like,
Well, and I think it's just the wrong tagline. Like the
Yeah.
tagline
Yeah.
should be something about the mask play or the kink
Yes,
play
yeah.
and stuff.
Yes.
It shouldn't be about this one thing that happened.
yes, it should be like something like it gets even darker when the mask comes off.
That's a good
Is a
tagline.
good
I just
tagline.
came up with that.
We do have also the epilogue sex scene.
The epilogue I like.
I liked it so much, but I might like the idea of exploring primal play. Anyway, so
Same girl, same.
I think I liked it because a lot of epilogues are just these short little like, oh, I have to write an epilogue thing.
Well,
and
and
this was
it's always the like, and we lived happily ever after, which
Right.
this kind of is, but not really.
yeah, at the end of it, they get engaged.
Yeah.
But it's them a few months later, and we get a full ass fucking scene, like a whole thing.
They've made a bet. You catch me in 20 minutes and put your pee in my V. There has to be penetration. Otherwise, I have to, what was it was the stakes. She had to
she
help
had to
him
be
with
on
a-
one of his thirst trap videos.
Yes.
if she lost.
Yeah.
I can't remember what she got if he lost.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I don't know.
I don't,
I
remember
don't know
either.
if there was. I think it was just like the challenge.
Oh, well, yeah, the whole point was the...
Yeah.
I also like that they talked about that they had set very specific ground rules before they did it.
Yes.
And I was like, yes, let's continue to have in our kinky romances that you need to set up these situations.
Yes.
Yes.
Very specific ground rules. They, rules for, and they have GPS trackers on them that they can only use if they believe it's an emergency.
I think it was after an hour
Yes.
they could look at them.
But, and so he's chasing her through the woods to pummel her with sex.
It doesn't, yeah. The only thing I didn't like about that is I hate running.
I mean, I
Right?
don't like cardio either.
Right.
But these are two fairly physically fit people.
She specifically was changing her gym routine so that she could do more running
Yeah.
because she was
Yes.
going to win, which
Yes.
I also like not this, oh, chase me thing. No, motherfucker, I'm going to make you earn it.
Yeah.
And he
Make you
did,
work for it, bitch.
he did win, but by seconds.
Yes.
It's true.
And even after he caught her, Allie was still like, it's not in yet, motherfucker. Slap,
Yeah.
roll,
Oh,
punch,
love it.
kick.
Elbow to the chest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, sorry, love. And she like kicks him in the chest. Like,
Not going on one of your fucking thirst traps. God damn it. I don't blame her though. I wouldn't want to go on
No.
one either. Like the internet, every time he's made even a slight reference to her is like, I hope you die. And she's like,
like universally hated.
yes.
I hope we get in the second book what that is. Like, is she wearing a mask with him? Like, what exactly is the thirst trap where Allie has to be in it?
Also, like, how is he gonna actually successfully pull this off? Because I don't think he is prepared for her to be like also a thirst.
Well, yeah.
You know, like, are you gonna have her in like lingerie, or are you gonna be like, no, cover that shit up?
I bet she'd look real hot in like a silk robe.
Oh, yeah.
That could be thirst trappy without actually being super revealing.
I was thinking more like a catsuit where like there's plunging cleavage, but just like super tight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And then a cat mask.
Ugh. I was thinking latex.
Well, I was thinking that the caption would be when mommy and daddy play.
Get the fuck out of here.
I'm just saying it's all he's already established.
Yes, I
that.
know. I know.
They now have 2 cats together.
Yes, they do. I also like that Josh does not end his account once he and Allie become like official.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this continues.
This
Because
continue-
it's not,
she helps him
it's
with
not
it.
about
Yeah.
her. It's his own thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She helps him with it. She just doesn't want to be in it. And he's like,
Understandable. Like, I'm not going to take your hobby away, but just don't make me do it.
Right.
Actually, she does hold the camera for him.
yes. Well, that's what I said. She helps him with
Yes.
it. She just doesn't want to be in it. Or
Yeah.
him to reference her because she gets universally hated. Which, he's the only account she follows. Or she's the only account he follows.
I was a little confused by some of that because in the very beginning of the book, when Josh is looking her up, her account is private, which means that, yes, other people could see it. But the fact that she's getting all of this attention and all of these follows, it's like, you don't have to accept these followers. You do know that, right?
I think they're like screaming in his comment section about her and like adding her.
I think that's happening too, but she does mention
Yeah.
at one point that she gets like all of these followers and stuff. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you don't have to accept them.
Requests.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
This is where I think their future is going, whether or not they're prepared for it. But that's an OnlyFans in the making.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I got an extra $5-6 a month. I'll subscribe to that.
All right.
I'm not really on
And then she proposes to him.
Yes.
Ish. He was already going to propose to her because he had the ring and everything, but she just like blurts out, "Marry me." And then she's like, fuck. I shouldn't have said that. What the hell?
And he has the ring.
Yeah.
Which that
It
son
was
of a bitch
cute,
had
I
a ring
guess.
probably after a month.
Oh,
He-
fuck yeah.
But
That boy fell hard.
and I love that. I love a he falls first. I'm here for it.
You do always love the he falls first.
Yeah. I like surly closed off ladies and golden retriever cinnamon roll boys. Mans.
Would like to hold up a mirror to your relationship.
You think I don't fucking know that? Fuck. There's small tangent. There's a line in one of, because me and Pap are big Swifties, whatever, it's not important. There's a line in one of her songs where she sings "My Tattooed Golden Retriever," and Pap is like taking that as his personal moniker.
How long until Pappy gets that tattooed on him?
He's already planned like 5 different Taylor Swift tattoos, okay?
Of course he has.
So that brings us to the end of the book. Are we ready for...
Ratings time.
Okay, so what is your spice rating?
I give this like a 4. Maybe a 4.5 because of the added, like, there was a lot of variety.
I think I want to give it a 4.5 because of the variety, because I haven't read some of that before.
Correct.
Like I've read Knife Play before, but not this way.
Yes. I agree with you on that. I think 4.5.
And also that was probably some of the best primal play that I've read. Yeah.
I think for me, the only reason it's 4 and not a 4.5 is because there were promises made with regards to Josh that were never fulfilled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that bums me out.
I'm still sticking with a 4.5 because there is
Okay.
a lot that I have never seen before, and I have read a lot of really spicy books.
Yeah.
So impressive. Well done.
And I also like being impressed when they're, because typically to get high spice ratings, there's multiple dicks. And to do it with
Only one pink.
With
only
just the
one
one
dick,
dick.
that was only used like a third of the time.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? He's a man who accepts help and support from where he can get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He likes nice knives. He likes toys. Mm-hmm. He likes suspense. You know.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. What is your romance rating? This one I'm interested to see where you land.
I actually give this a 4. I fucking love their relationship. They're so fucking cute together when they're not doing the like super spicy shit and everything. I love their banter back and forth, the constant jokes about their child.
Yes.
Always makes me laugh, and they caught me off guard in funny moments.
I was debating this one a lot, and I think I'm also going to land on a 4. And the reason is because I feel like Navessa Allen created 2 characters that could really be put together in these situations. Instead of forcing situations on characters, she created characters that fit these situations really well. And then we get really kind of different moments through the funny banter, all of the sexy situations, the way Josh takes care of her, but also the way that Allie supports him. And like, they're kind of both coming through their trauma together. That's where I land.
Like, if I could give this a 3.75, it would be perfect.
Sure.
But I can't. So I'm going to go with a 3.5. And the reason I feel that way is they moved too fast. They were too fast to I love you. They were too fast to I'm infatuated with you. Too fast to obsession. And I get it. I get that they're obsessive people, but for my reading preference, I didn't like that.
Yeah, and
Fair enough.
And I think I really am hovering between the 3.5 and the 4. So yeah, I could have gone either way with those.
Like and I think I would have accepted it more and would have been more willing to go all the way up to a 4 if they weren't so sickly sweet about it when they got there. Like, and so they went so quickly from you're a man I'm lusting after on the internet to I'm going to take care of you and I'm basically in love with you and I'm obsessed with you and I'm going to like just like be your only thing in life. And I was just like, that doesn't, yuck.
Sure. What's your overall rating?
I gave it a 4.5. I really liked this book. I didn't get bored. I agree. The mafia angle I could have done without, which is probably why it's not like a 5.
Sure.
Like, I didn't dislike the mafia angle, but I got a little like bored in the middle of that, even though I usually like that kind of shit. But I liked their cutesiness. I liked the spice. Spice. I liked the book a lot.
I gave it a 4. For the things we already talked about, where the pacing towards the last third with all the mafia shit ain't great. I also think that some of the writing is overly detailed. There are certain things that we get way too much detail about, like Allie's neighbors. We learn all of their like fucking backstory with their kids and stuff. And like, there's just some things that were irrelevant, auxiliary characters that we didn't need to know that much about. So that is where I land, is a 4.
I also went with a 4. I really liked it. A lot of the issues that I had were the pacing. Like, honestly, the second half could have been quite a bit shorter and I would have been like nailed it. So that's a 4. That's a solid 4.
Okay. What are your recommendations?
I'm going to go first because I don't want you to give me mine.
Listen, I already know what you're going to suggest, so I already planned for other things.
Good.
I've already left this for you. I'm a giving friend.
Well, you guys read more dark romance than me, so you got to let me have it. All right. I'm going to recommend Leather and Lark.
Obviously.
It's so good. If you can listen to the audiobook, please do. Please, for you, do that. I'm not going to tell you anything else. Go listen to it.
And I was going to do Butcher and Blackbird.
Fair enough.
Both
Check out our episode
on Butcher and Blackbird, both by Bryn Weaver. Let's make sure we say that.
Sorry, by Bryn Weaver. So good. I haven't read Leather and Lark yet, so
You're going to fucking love it, Danny.
It's so good.
I know.
I would say that this book is more like Leather and Lark because Leather and Lark is so much about the two,
Yes.
the couple.
Yes.
Whereas Butcher and Blackbird, while it is about Sloane and Rowan, there's a lot of
encompasses the other people because it brings them in for the future books. I know that.
Yeah. But we do get to know about more about Rose in Leather and Lark, and she is a hoot, and I'm so excited for Sparrow and something.
Scythe and Sparrow.
Scythe and Sparrow, the third book.
The only thing I'm not excited about is like these two characters aren't they aren't baddies. Not really.
Rose is. She's the murderer.
They're
in
baddie
this.
adjacent.
Rose is the murderer. What I'm not here for is the clown shit.
No, I don't want that.
No.
Anyway.
So my recommendations, I will say right off the bat, I did not give either of these as high a stars as Butcher, Blackbird, Leather and Lark or Lights Out. But since I left those for you guys because I'm such a nice giving friend,
You are indeed.
I'm going to recommend Bait by Jade West, which the premise of this book, kind of very similar to Lights Out, where there is a kink that is being explored by two strangers and that like develops into a romance. Only this one is primal play, but like in like a really dark way. So the main character, I don't remember her name. She really wants to explore like consensual non-consent in like a full chase me down in a parking lot, throw me down and take me kind of way.
Damn.
So she finds someone online to do that with. And then the other book I'm recommending is The Perfect Fit by Sadie Kincaid. That one is a why choose billionaire romance that does have a little bit of a mafia angle towards the end. Again, has a lot of kinks in it. And the three men are also into each other, which I appreciate. I appreciate why chooses where everybody wants to fuck everybody. That's nice.
I do like a everybody likes to fuck everybody situation.
Yeah. But there's primal play, there's knife play in that, as well as plenty of like dom sub stuff. So those are my recommendations.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's time.
For the end of the episode. If you like this episode, you can find us out there on the socials at Wrong Dust Jackets, primarily on TikTok and Instagram, but you can find us pretty much anywhere. You can also find us on our website at wrongdustjackets.com. You will find our list of previous episodes, including Butcher and Blackbird, and a list of upcoming episodes. You'll also find our blog post, which I know I did a blog post for Butcher and Blackbird at one point, and I think I did one for Lights Out at one point before I read these and then made you read them with me and enjoy this ride. Yeah, and then I would so love it if you would like, rate, review, comment, whatever is available to you on your podcast listening app. That would help us so much in the algorithms and just warm my little cold heart. That's all I've got. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye.